3, 12, 21. First thing you want to ask yourself is when n is 0, what I need here to get 3. I need a 3. And then when n is 1, right, then I need a 9 here, because 9 plus 3 will give me 12. And then when n is 2, that'll be 18 plus 3 will give me 21. And then when n is 3, right, 27 plus 3 will give me 30. So that's how you do that one. Cool, you guys kind of get it? How many people are getting it? Awesome. All right, so that's the AN plus B deal. It can be a little confusing until you play with it. And yeah, that's the one we just did right there. Close those. And then we have first letter. This is one of my favorites. We've already seen it. This, by the way, with 2 colons is known as a pseudo element. So there's pseudo classes like the hover, and a pseudo element has two colons. However, this will also work, I believe, just with 1 colon. So there you can see I did first letter, right? And if I just do 1 colon here, not Firefox, cancel. I just do 1 colon, it still totally worked. Okay, but technically it's 2 colons and it's called pseudo element. I remember that pseudo element has 2 colons and pseudo class has 1 colon, because a class C kind of has 2 points, right? So a colon would have 2 dots, and an element E has 3, and well, that's got a little bit more than 3 dots. Make sense? My little mnemonic device. Maybe you guys don't need those things. When you're not that smart, you got to be creative. And there's a first letter and first line. And so, you know, you've seen this before, but it's fun. As first line changes, it's only the first line that's being formatted, right? So those other words, right, when they drop to the next line, they're no longer formatted. I think that's a really beautiful, stylish effect that hardly anybody uses. It's super easy. And it really makes things look nice. But nobody uses it. Do you guys not like the voices? Can we talk a monotone? Let's do a show of hands, a little poll. You like the voices? Or you prefer that? Or you like a little bit more just, Todd, be serious. It's school. Come on. You like the voices? And you prefer me to be more serious at school? No. Okay. So I also put in a little line height in there just to adjust things. And you could go and look at these examples and see what happens if I don't have line height. Oh, that doesn't look so good. But when I put line height on, that's looking better. I don't know why it does it, but it does. So we'll use it. And then we have an input required. So I put a little form here. And so here I said, hey, oh, I had to do a whole style sheet. So here's the whole style sheet. But what we're looking at is you see I'm getting fancy with some of those selectors. Input required, man. Here, input required. So if you're an input element for a form, on the form, here's an input element. If you're an input element, we could say, hey, when you're required, we could add that styling. And so this one is required, and this one's required. Capiche? And so the first name and last name are going to have input required formatting, which is this stuff. So the first and last name will have a border of that and a background color of red, or kind of a yellow. Let's look at it. So it's kind of a faded out pink and a border of red. But this one doesn't have that. If I went in here and I said, you know what, email is going to be required. No, that's not required. Cool. And then here I did input if it's type submit, right? So here's an input type submit. So an input with the attribute type equal to submit, then give it this styling. Nice, huh? I could have just said this. I could have just said type submit. Anything that has the attribute type and it's equal to submit, format it this way. So I could have also just done that. Maybe that's a little bit more clear. How many people think it's more clear this way? Same thing, right? Because the type submit's only going to be on an input, I think. Almost fell over. It's like late in the day, I get a little giddy. That, or I'm just going to like go to sleep. Type submit. And then we have type submit hover. That's kind of cool. A little pseudo class on top of that. So it still works even without the input. Just type submit. I think it's a little easier to read this way. The less selectors, the easier it is to read. All right, so that's just a, and that's pretty much, there's a few other esoteric ones that were in that list. And that list that I'm talking about is when you just do CSS selectors and go to W3 schools, CSS selectors, right? There's a few other esoteric ones, but that's pretty much, the main ones. You guys have it. You have it. You got it, baby. You got it. You're doing good. Okay, you tell me, who am I imitating? Hey, man, how's it going on? It's a beautiful day. You got it going on today, baby. Yeah, you do. You got it going on. Good to see you. I don't mind the heat. I like the heat. The heat doesn't bother me. Some people complain about the heat, but the heat doesn't bother me. I like the heat. Anybody know who I'm imitating? Nobody recognizes that voice?